Hey, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I appreciate your support as always. Shout out to the 19. So we're going to dive in and tackle the absolute circus that college sports have become thanks to two things, the transfer portal and NIL, name, image, and likeness, if you weren't sure what that meant. Yep, diving into the wild, wild west of college sports where athletes are cashing checks, big schools like they're on a dating app, and the NCAA is basically, you know what? Eh, rules, rules are overrated. Let's just turn this into the Hunger Games with cash prizes. So what do you think? Is this going to be progress or a train wreck? Remember, the NCAA used to be incredibly restrictive about everything. Is college sports going to survive this? How will they survive it? That's the key. I mean, I think it'll survive, but what's it going to look like? Because college sports used to be about competition, cheerleaders, learning life lessons, school pride, cheerleaders, marching bands, overpriced nachos, and cheerleaders. But now it's about $1 million deals, third party collectives, athletes treating their coaches like a bad Tinder date. Sorry, coach. You hurt my feels. I didn't get my shots. You benched me when I wanted to play. I'm swiping left. Let's move on. As you can see here, now this is schools specifically, okay? So there'll be a couple of issues. This is recent. Schools are going to be limited to 20.5 million for athletes. They've temporarily tied this to Title IX because it is involving the schools, so it's gonna have to be split evenly between men's and women's sports, no matter the revenue each sport generates. And this may change, but that's how it is for now. However, what is not covered in this is what are called 30-party collectives. They are the wild card. They can be dishing out unlimited cash, and this does not violate Title IX, so it's not going to be held to the same restrictions. Now, initially, what the numbers you're seeing here are is initially these athletes, this is in general how most seem to plan to funnel that money. 77 to 75%, of course, to football. That's the biggest money maker. But Title IX, the memo has made it so this is probably not feasible. I'm sure there will be changes, but for now, that's how it is. So that means collectives are going to stay king. So let's unpack this just a little bit. Do I have something else here, right? This is the things talking about it. Title IX effectively destroying NIL payments from schools to athletes. But that's the key, from schools to athletes. And you see that in this article as well. They throw a wrench into NCAA revenue sharing models. But again, I want to be clear about this. This is specific to the schools. Okay, this is specific to the schools. So that money for the schools is different than the third party collectives that we're talking about. Okay. So while the NCAA, it used to be incredibly strict rules for everything, rules most people didn't even know existed, and then they would violate them. And if the NCAA had you as a school or a athlete or a coach on their you know what list, you'd be punished. If you weren't on that list, they'd probably let it go. But, there was a time like athletes, it was kind of the big joke. They couldn't even get a Big Mac paid for by a school booster. The athlete couldn't even sell a signed napkin with, without getting punished in some way. And yet now they've capped $20.5 million per school in order to pay these players. And Title IX says it's got to be split fairly. And split fairly means, of course, men's and women's sports get equal slices, which sounds good on the surface, except as we know, and you can make other arguments with regard to that, football's raking in the big bucks, while women's lacrosse is not so much. Now, to be fair with that, men's water polo isn't exactly doing it either. It's really football and to a lesser extent basketball, which usually gets bumped when it comes around to March Madness, and all the other sports are sort of riding their coattails. But if a linebacker is going to get 200K, some female athletes gotta match it. Now, not doesn't have to be a female athlete, but 200K is going to have to go to women's sports, so that's gonna be interesting. So, here we go. Here's the collectives that are talking about third-party groups just tossing money around like they're at a Vegas casino, and the Department of Ed's memo about this is if it's not school money, we don't care. Schools like VCU are jumping in too, planning $4 to $5 million in direct payments next year for basketball. Will they dodge Title IX with collective cash? Most likely, and I have that right. Here's what we're talking about. This right here, we have VCU. That means, by the way, that means about an average of 385K per year per player. And you can see it right here if we go to this as well. They're going to pay their athletes 4 to 5 million. I think it's 12, probably 12 athletes, maybe 15. Now, they're all not going to get 384K, of course, but that is the average amount for these players. So that's going to be interesting, of course. So that's hundreds of thousands of dollars per year per player. Now, again, like I just said, that is average, but that's a lot of money, right? That's a lot of money for these athletes because let's face it, they were making a lot of money for their scholarships with the way colleges, I should say, with what colleges are charging nowadays. That's a huge amount of money that they were making just from the scholarship. Now at VCU, this isn't Duke, this isn't Kentucky, this isn't UConn. This is at VCU for guys most likely not going pro. Now, again, some will make less, but if you're looking at the average, we're talking over $1 million for 4 years of basketball. And let's face it, they keep expanding eligibility as well. So picture the athletic director, right, in a panic. Go, okay, 15 million for football. This is what I'm talking about, school money here now. 15 million for football. Wait, we need to get it for the women's fencing team too. It's all the collective, right? There's where it comes in. I need a booster with a duffel bag of cash. Stat. It's like college sports hired Tony Soprano as their accountant. Note to self on that. Binge watch The Sopranos. Jersey, baby. Haven't seen that in a while. But as I said, here's the kicker. A lot of these kids are not going pro, but they could make life-changing money if they're smart, which, college age players getting hundreds of thousands of dollars all of a sudden. But what's it doing to their education? All right, what's it doing to their effort, to their teammates, to their responsibility to not only do their job as the student, but to become the best player that they can be and listening to the coach, right? That's going to make things very, very different in terms of, or it is already making things very, very different in terms of the environment. So, what's this going to do? The next thing, which I think combines with it, and I don't think I have it here. I have my notes, but I wanted to dive into the transfer portal. Nowadays, athletes can transfer every single year without punishment, which is absolutely wild that that can happen. Coaches are powerless now, right? Players can bolt over playing time, over position, a bad day, bad haircut. Well, it could be a bad breakup, and they want to get out of that school. I mean, we have recently this one was made a big deal back in like January. We had Rutgers Kilmy McMiller got suspended apparently for fighting for their big game earlier in the season against Juju Watkins and USC. She made it public. She blasted her coach on Instagram saying this was the coach that made this decision. And you know what? It doesn't matter because now she can just transfer. Right? I think I have that here, right? We had this. Where is it? I'm gonna find it. Right? We had this where is it? Here we go. Rutgers star Keomi McMiller. I always want to say Miller. Played coach for missing clash with Juju Watkins and USC. But as it turns out, if we go here, why was she suspended? Why was she suspended? That is a great question. Let's ask that question. So apparently, there was a fight, an altercation with a Rutgers teammate, and that's why she was suspended. And McMiller makes it all about social media drama, throws the coach under the bus, does this before the game. And by the way, it looks like a lot of those have been deleted since. And then the coach came out and said, for me, coaching is not just what happens on the court on game day. It's about how we impact these young women in our program in all aspects, from their character, their growth into womanhood, and their decision making. That's always going to be first and foremost in how we go about our decisions, our decision making in this program, which I think was a fantastic statement. And I think that's, for me personally, one of the things that's really been lost in college sports is the role a coach has. And look, I'm not defending all coaches, there are some bad ones, but the role a coach used to have in helping guide these student athletes, preparing them not just to be great athletes and great teammates, but for success in life, right? And now McMiller can just transfer. What does she care? The coach has no pull. If you're good enough, right? If you're good enough, unless you're Kennedy Carter, some team is going to take you. We see it in pro sports all of the time. All right, now and so the transfer portal is where things go full zombie apocalypse. Old rule said you transfer, you sit a year, and that's it. Harsh, sure, but I mean it kept some order, right? Today, every athlete is a free agent every single season. It's like they're playing musical chairs. Oh man, it's like they're playing musical chairs with scholarships. Coaches have zero control now. I mean, imagine telling your boss, "I don't like my shift. I'm out of here." Maybe that's not the best analogy because people quit all the time, but you really shouldn't just walk out because you don't like that next shift that you got. But anyway, to imagine this in the NFL, the NBA, MLB, NHL, think about this. Let this sink in for a second. Every single time a season ends, every single player in the league is a free agent and no salary cap. Because set aside that school money, right? The school money's got that limit. But again, with the collectives, no salary cap. Absolutely wild. I mean, now coaches are like begging now, stay, please stay. I'll let you call the plays. Meanwhile, players like, nah, I didn't get enough shots. Portal time. It's less team spirit and more survivor NCAA edition, where players are voting themselves off the islands. What is wild? Here's kind of a big picture question for all this, because this is college, right? This is not the pros, yet it's wilder than the NFL. Again, players are free agents every single year. They're chasing cash, playing time, and any other opportunity they can get. So, is this sustainable, or are we watching a slow motion disaster unfold? It is and the NIL combined with the transfer portal, turning college sports into an insane free for all and a professional one. Major sports like football and then basketball might drift from schools, becoming basically second tier pro leagues in all but name. Like they might keep that connection with the school in terms of the name, but they're basically not. The whole balance of education, team dynamics, competition, it's all at risk. These are supposed to be student athletes. And again, I said this before, look, with the tuition in schools nowadays, if you're on a full ride, you are getting paid a lot of money. So, where's this heading? Well, with these collectives, they got bankrolling rosters, players, and players, these athletes hop in schools like it's a game of hopscotch. College sports are going to feel less like college and more like semi-pro leagues or even flat out just pro leagues, but with better mascots and cheerleaders. Uh, Football and basketball, especially, they could just slap, like I said, they could slap a university logo on their mercenary team and call it a day. It's the it's the Alabama Tide, Crimson Tide LLC. It's no longer Roll Tide, it's the paycheck. By the way, quick shout out to Alabama and Georgia, right? I mean, you gave my Eagles Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, Landon Dickerson, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Nakobe Dean, all huge roles in our Super Bowl. Anyway, back to the video. Look, I'm all for athletes getting paid. They've earned it. But the way it is now, the setup, this chaos could absolutely kill what made college sports special. Tradition, loyalty, the underdog vibe. I mean, there's a reason people absolutely love March Madness. And again, let's not forget, these kids are supposed to be students where their athleticism, it might be giving them an opportunity to further their education they might not have otherwise gotten. So what happens when the paycheck's more important than the playbook or, the classroom, which let's to be fair, probably is for most athletes nowadays anyway. But again, with the insane cost of college nowadays, these scholarship athletes, they get a lot of money. I mean, think about it. If a school costs 100 grand a year, that's $400,000 you got to get an education. If it's 50 grand a year, 200,000, right? I mean, it's not like it's nothing. Oh man, at this point, we are one step away from ESPN airing their college free agency night. Will the star quarterback sign with Ohio State or take his talents to South Beach? Sorry, I mean Miami University. Tune in for the drama and the NIL bidding war and the perks we still pretend don't happen but always have. Is this what you want? A second tier pro league wearing a college jersey? Or should we reel the madness back in a little bit? I know this is a lot longer than I thought, but it's kind of a video I always wanted to do. Don't expect to get a ton of views, but I really think it's a interesting topic to talk about. But college sports right now seem to be at a crossroads. Cash is flowing, players are roaming, and coaches are crying. And I think it could be a recipe for disaster. But you might see it differently, which is cool. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let me know. Do you love this chaos or are we ruining a good thing? Don't forget, smash the like button. Smash the like button if you're as confused as I am about all this and what's going to happen. By the way, subscribe as well. I really do appreciate all your support. I'm going to leave it there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Appreciate you as always, and I will talk to you later.